Yes, Mr. Millett.
Mr. Chairman, I'm told that it may be necessary, or is necessary, to rise at 4 today because some call participants have got a pre-planned trip up the tower.
Yes.
Is that convenient to you, Mr. Chairman?
No, we'll do that. Will you find a convenient point at or around about 4 o'clock?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In which case, I'm going to call our next witness, firefighter Justin O'Byrne.
Thank you. Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Abell. You're going to take the oath, I think, please.
Yes.
I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I should give
shall be the truth,
this should be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
Thank you very much. And you're comfortable standing?
I'll let you know if I'm not.
Well, please do. That's what I was
Yeah.
going to say to you.
All right, okay.
We can easily remove that if you'd rather sit down, and if we get to a point when you feel you need a break, just indicate.
Cheers. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. O'Byrne.
Afternoon.
First of all, can I just say how grateful we are to you for coming here to the inquiry to give your evidence today. It is very much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
If there are any questions which I ask you which you don't understand, I will happily ask them again or ask them in a different way. Just say. And if you need a break at any point, just signal, and you can have a break.
Yes.
Okay. Just so you know, we're aiming to finish this afternoon at about 4 o'clock. But I may not have finished your evidence by then, but it doesn't matter. Just so you have that in your mind.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask you to look at your statement first of all, please, which you'll find at tab 6A in the little bundle in front of you. It's a blue bundle.
Yes.
And it should be on the screen there. We're
I
going to
can see a piece of paper on the screen. Yeah.
Yes.
You can either see it on the screen or in the hard copy in that blue folder in front of you.
Right. Okay.
You use whichever you find more convenient.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And and this isn't for you, but for the system we operate here, Mr. O'Byrne, that its reference is MET:083321. And there are attached to that statement some contemporaneous notes as JOB3, and they are MET:005337, and a handwritten statement, MET:005338. You should have those in front of you in the little bundle as well at tab B. Could you just confirm that they're yours? That's your handwritten statement of JOB3 and a second handwritten statement.
Yes. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yes? You recognise those as yours?
Yeah. I think the last page was written by somebody else. Was it? I don't recognise the handwriting.
Well, we can look at that in due course. And then we have exhibits 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. And I'll perhaps Mr. Chairman will read the Met references into the record later.
Yes.
But in your bundle at tab C, you should have those exhibits. Mr. O'Byrne, if you could just confirm that. That's JOB 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just showing you that. So far as your statement is concerned, it's dated the 29th of December 2017. Have you read it recently?
Yes.
Can you confirm for us that its contents are true?
Yes.
Have you discussed your statement or the evidence that you are going to give today with anybody before you came here?
No.
Now, you joined the London Fire Brigade in April, I think, 1998.
That's correct, yes.
Can you just give us a brief summary of your career in the London Fire Brigade since April 1998?
I come out of training school maybe around September. of that year. Went to Park Royal fire station, we had one truck, and moved on to, after about a year and a half of being there, and moved to North Kensington, which brings us up to around about was it maybe March 2002 or 2001? I moved to North Kensington Fire Station. I've been on Red Watch since I started my career, and I've been on the Reds at North Ken for about 17 years now.
Yes, okay. I wonder whether, when you speak, you might just either stand a little closer to the microphone, perhaps, or speak up just a little bit.
There's a table in the way, you know that.
I know there is. Or perhaps you could just speak up a little bit if you
Right,
if you
okay,
could.
yes, right.
Thanks. Now, you describe in your statement, at the bottom of page 1, at the top of page 2, you say that North Kensington is quite a busy fire station, and we get a fair amount of fires. Can I just get an impression of what you mean by that? How many call-outs do you get in an average shift?
I couldn't tell you. Sometimes you might not turn a wheel all night, and sometimes it can be very busy. I wouldn't like to speculate now.
Right.
Yeah, I believe it is one of the busier fire stations, and I believe it's also one of the busier fire stations for fires.
Okay, for fires?
For fires as well.
For actual fires?
Yeah, not just alarms and stuff like that. For actual fires, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You've set out quite a bit in your statement about training, but I'd like to ask you about your training for high-rise firefighting in particular. In your statement, in the third paragraph on page 2, if you would just look at that, you say, within the LFB, we also complete regular training in high-rise firefighting. And within the last year, we did a simulation of a high-rise fire at Hammersmith Fire Station. Just pausing there, when you say regular high-rise firefighting training, how often is regular?
I'd say we regularly discuss at the station about firefighter drills and stuff like that. I'd say at least once a year, but it's obviously very hard to put into practice at the station with just a drill tower.
Right, okay. And we'll look at that. You say there that you did, within the last year, you did a simulation of a high-rise fire at Hammersmith Fire Station. Can you just tell us what that involved?
It was mostly based for officers, if I remember rightly, that were going through the procedures that they'll adopt, should I say. And after that, we went outside and done a simulation of a fire in a tower block.
You say simulation. What?
The procedures that we put into place, as in the fire floor, the search area, and the lobby area.
Okay. And did any part of that simulation involve a fire which had broken out of the compartment of origin?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
What about the breaking out of smoke from the compartment of origin? Did it involve that? Did any part of that training involve the spread of fire on the exterior of a high-rise building?
No.
Did any part of that training involve how the exterior of a building might behave in the case of a fire?
What I understand from your question is, are you asking whether it would the fire jump from one window to another? Is that what you're asking, or are you asking the actual material on the outside of a building?
Well, let's. The answer to your question, to me, is both. But let's take it in stages. So first of all, did any part of that training involve what happens if a fire jumps through a window and up a floor?
I don't remember any specific training about that. I would just say that you'd get crews in to put it out.
Okay. And did any part of that training exercise involve cladding, or how cladding would behave? What about any other kind of surface or structure on the exterior of the building in the event of a fire?
No.
No. Okay. Now you go on in the same paragraph to say, in this training we talked about policy and the procedures that we go through at an incident and where to put a bridgehead. What policy or policies were you trained in during that training programme? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. I could say high-rise policy, obviously.
High-rise policy.
I don't know whether it was fire survival guidance, but I wouldn't like to speculate.
Okay. So you do remember high-rise, the high-rise policy, policy 633?
I'm surprised you know that. As I say, if we're doing a high-rise drills, then we would be working from that policy that you just said.
Okay. And beyond the simulation course you did at Hammersmith Fire Station, have you ever had training in what happens if the exterior of a tower block catches fire?
No.
Okay. And have you ever had training as to what happens if a fire in a tower block spreads beyond the compartment of origin?
I believe not.
Okay. Did that training programme at Hammersmith involve any training about the stay put policy?
I'd say no.
Okay. Do you have, in your experience of firefighting in North Kensington over the years you were at Red Watch there, an understanding, your own understanding of what a stay put policy is?
Yes, I do have an understanding of it.
And what is that understanding?
That if your compartment or property, your dwelling isn't involved in a fire, that you stay in your property and wait for the fire and rescue service to attend and advise. Otherwise, you could hamper the efforts of the firefighters whilst you leave the building. And
in your time in North Kensington, have you, and indeed anywhere else in London, did you ever get any training on when it might be appropriate for those on the incident ground to abandon the stay put policy in favour of an alternative?
I'd say no.
Yeah. Did you attend a course or receive any training in a course called Back to Basics?
At Hammersmith.
That's the same course, is it?
Yes.
I see. Thank you. Do you remember whether in that course there were any lessons taught to you about what was learnt at a fire at Lakenal House in South London in 2009?
I didn't receive that training, I believe.
You didn't?
I believe I wasn't at work that day.
Right. Have you heard of, or had you heard, as at June 2017, of the fire at Lakenal House?
Yes, I've heard of it, yes.
In what context?
I heard that some people had obviously tragically died and they were told to stay in their flats or something like that. Other than that, nothing more than that.
Okay. Just pursuing that a little bit. As a firefighter, experienced firefighter in North Kensington, if I'd said to you before June 2017 the words Lakenal House, what would that have meant to you?
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you'll have to.
Yeah. If I'd come up to you in May 2017 and said to you, Justin, what does Lakenal House mean to you? What would you have told me?
I would say that people were told to stay in their properties by the fire brigade. I believe this, as I say, this might just be speculation. And then the fire obviously took hold in their dwellings and they died. That's pretty much all I know about it prior to June 2017.
Okay. As at June 2017, were you aware that there had been a fire at Shepherd's Court in August of 2016?
Yes, I was aware, yes.
Did you attend that fire?
I did, yes.
Right. On which pump, do you remember?
I drove our pump, which is Golf 272, from Soho fire station to Shepherd's Bush.
Okay. And at what stage in the fire did you arrive? Do you remember?
We turned up obviously quite late on to the incident. I I can't remember exactly what I saw. If I remember rightly, maybe there had been fire involving 3 different dwellings, if I remember rightly. And I can't remember. It was at the tail end of the incident, so we didn't really do a great deal.
No. And did you get any training after the Shepherd's Court fire as to the lessons learnt from Shepherd's Court?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. And did you learn any particular lessons as a firefighter from your attendance at Shepherd's Court?
No.
Is it correct to say that you were familiar with Grenfell Tower as a building because it was on North Kensington's patch?
Yes.
As at June 2017, how familiar were you with Grenfell Tower?
I've been there on quite a few occasions, nothing too recent to before 2017.
Yeah. If you look at page 3 of your statement, please, you say at the bottom there, in the first line, I've been to Grenfell Tower many times on a regular basis within the last 17 years, as it is one of the tower blocks in the area covered by the North Kensington Fire Station. And then you say, we go to high-rise buildings such as Grenfell Tower to do home fire safety visits, where we check or fit smoke alarms and give fire safety advice. Yeah. Do you remember ever going to Grenfell Tower itself to do home fire safety visits?
I don't remember going to that particular building to do it, no.
And then you say, 2 lines on, therefore I've been to Grenfell to do smoke alarms, and I've also been there quite a few times due to the automatic fire alarm going off in the communal areas. First of all, can I just focus with you on doing smoke alarms? When you say I've been to Grenfell to do smoke alarms, what do you mean?
It would be the thing that I just said I don't remember doing. So, home fire safety visits, that would be the smoke alarms.
Right. Do you have any particular recollection of
at the time, right in the with the police statement, I don't have any recollection of it now. No.
Okay. When you say do smoke alarms, do you mean advising residents on what smoke alarms to fit?
You're asking of a fire safety question, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just saw Tom explain most of it here, which he done articulated very well. But yeah, we check and fit our own smoke alarms, or maybe we'll check smoke alarms that are pre-fitted and give them advice on fire safety.
Do you know from your own knowledge whether, as at June 2017, there were standard smoke alarms fitted within the flats at Grenfell Tower? They were all the same, or whether people had different ones?
I don't know. Okay. I can't answer that.
When you were talking to residents at Grenfell about fire safety, do you remember whether you ever had occasion to discuss what happened if stay put failed, or evacuation, or escape routes, or anything like that?
As I say, I'm not 100% sure that I have actually been to a home fire safety visit there.
Okay, fair enough. Fine. So looking at the next sentence in the one we were looking at, which was where you say, I've also been there quite a few times due to the automatic fire alarm going off in the communal areas. And then you go on to say, however, we haven't been called there for a while regarding the alarm going off. Therefore, I presume there isn't an AFA there in the communal areas there now. This may explain why, on the night of the fire at Grenfell Tower, I didn't hear this or any alarms going off. Can I just understand this? Is it your recollection that at one stage there had been a communal fire alarm in Grenfell Tower?
Yes.
When was that?
I wouldn't like to guess. I would like to guess, actually. Yeah, it's probably before the refurb.
Okay. When you say you would like to guess, I mean, is that's doing the best with your recollection, is it?
Yes.
And when you say in the communal areas, can you just describe what you mean?
If I remember rightly, there'd be smoke detectors and sounders in the communal areas, and the panel in the concierge office that used to be on the ground floor.
Right. Communal areas, would those include the lobbies outside the lifts on each floor?
Yes.
And would that all be connected up to a single panel in the main lobby? Is that...
That was connected up into the concierge office behind the door and glass screen and stuff, yes.
Right. Just tell me, where was this concierge's office?
From
the best of your
memory,
yeah.
I believe when you walked through, I can't remember too much about the layout, how it's changed, but when you walk through the main entrance and the door that used to go, or does now go into the lift lobby, if I remember rightly, you'd walk through a door there, turn left, and maybe a metre or two, another left, and you're getting into the concierge office at the back part of the concierge office.
Do you remember whether the concierge's office was manned?
There was a person there. I don't remember being there an alarm when there wasn't anyone there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. Yeah. And was it, put it this way, was the concierge's office operated, to the best of your knowledge, 24 hours a day? I presume it was. When I had the alarm, I would say it was, yes. Right. And the communal alarm, well, let me ask you this. Under the system as you remember it, if there was smoke or fire in a lobby, on a lift, on a floor outside the lifts,
yes,
what would happen in the concierge's office?
The alarm would sound, and it will show in the concierge office what floor the smoke detector head has been activated.
Right. And what would the concierge do? Do you remember?
I wasn't there when the concierge would get the alarm.
Right, okay. Do you remember whether that fire alarm system was connected to North Kensington Fire Station?
Sorry?
Was that alarm system connected up in any way to North Kensington Fire Station?
I believe it was an automated system that obviously goes to, a private company, and then they goes to control, and then obviously back to us. Okay.
How much of this do you actually know from your own knowledge, as opposed to thinking you know?
You're asking how much is this is factual?
Yes, if you like.
That's what I believe it is.
Okay.
Would you want a percentage, or?
It's the best of your recollection.
Yeah, that would be.
Yes, okay.
You know, if I understood you correctly, I mean, can you actually remember a time when there was an automatic fire alarm?
Yes, there was definitely an automatic fire alarm in Grenfell Tower.
Okay. Right. Did you visit Grenfell Tower after the refurbished works were complete?
I don't know whether I did or not.
Okay. I'm going to turn to some questions now about the night of the fire on the 14th of June.
Yes.
2017. And you cover this in your statement from page 5 onwards, and I want to pick it up, if I can, on page 6. You say at the bottom of page 6, and just to set the context, I think you're talking about you're talking about your kit, your breathing apparatus, and you say halfway down that paragraph, however, because we extra firefighters and we're able to get more equipment off the pumps, I thought I would take the IEC kit in, as I didn't want to go empty-handed. I might have also taken a couple of branches in. I didn't put my BA set on, as this is always the role of the pump ladder crew. It is therefore normal at an incident for some of us to enter the location initially without our BA sets on. First of all, can you just tell us, what is the IEC kit?
I'm not very good with abbreviations. It's the emergency... it's a first aid kit.
Right.
Incident emergency care? I can't even think at the moment, unfortunately.
And you then say it's normal for some of us to enter the location initially without our BA sets on. So is that what happened to you? You went in without your BA set on in the first
Yes, I did
instance?
go. Yes, I did.
Okay. And then if you look at page 7, you say halfway down that page, I then made my way from the pump into Grenfell Tower through the main entrance where there is a concrete roof above the doors. I had the IEC kit over my shoulder. And you then say, once you're inside the foyer, there's a big open space, and you describe it. And then you say, the stairs are within the open space of the foyer, which is separate from the main core staircase of the building leading to the first 2 floors. At the top of the stairs on the 2nd floor, there's a walkway overlooking the foyer with a door at the end, which you open with a key fob. This leads to the main staircase, which is immediately to your right. And then you say, I think there's another door on the left that does go, that should be, through to the 2nd floor lift lobby, which is directly above the ground floor lift lobby. Do you remember, first of all, on arrival, there being a need to find a key fob?
No.
You don't?
No.
Do you remember any discussion between North Kensington Crews and an individual resident about accessing the lobby behind the main entrance?
You'll have to say that again, sorry.
Yeah. Do you remember any discussion taking place between the North Kent Crews who were attending and an individual?
Yes.
About how to get from the main entrance into the lift lobby?
No, I think I was a little bit behind them.
Right. Do you remember how you gained entrance into the ground floor lift lobby? From outside
into the lift lobby, the door was open when I arrived with the IEC pack.
Okay, and then at the top of page 8, just following that a little bit further forward, you say, when I entered the foyer, I went straight to the ground floor lift lobby. I'm not sure if I was the last one going in, but as I got into the lift, which was quite small, it seemed to be full of equipment. I remember seeing branches, about 4 lengths of hose and breaking in gear. I can't remember who was in the lift or there, but the BA crew would have waited there for the lift, and a crew manager would also have been there. And then you say this, I think they were having problems trying to activate the fire lift. Just focusing on that, what do you remember about problems trying to activate the fire lift?
The reason why I said that, I don't think that they actually mentioned anything about problems, but as I got to the door and looked in the door, it was full of hose, and obviously the firefighters weren't in there.
Right.
Therefore, I presume they were having a problem with the lift at the time.
Okay. So did anybody tell you at the time that there was a problem with the fire lift?
From my knowledge, no, but unfortunately, that may be wrong.
Okay. And you then say, due to the problems with the lift, there being so much kit in there and the IEC kit being quite big, I thought I would walk up the stairs as the fire was only on the 4th floor. And then you describe, in the next paragraph, that process. You say, I went back into the foyer, and I managed to get through the door in the glass wall to the foyer stairs. I vaguely remember trying to open this glass door, and someone who was coming out let me in, as I think you also need a magnetic fob to open this door. So just looking at that, what do you remember about the ease of access which you as a firefighter had into and out of the building?
I was just fortunate there was a resident there to let us in, yeah.
What would have happened had there not been a resident there to let you in?
I presume that had a panel for an express key to open, like an emergency open.
You then describe you going up to the 4th floor. You went up the stairs. Did you go straight to the 4th floor?
I can't remember what I'd done.
Okay. Do you remember whether anybody instructed you to go to the 4th floor?
I don't think so, I don't know.
What were you going to the 4th floor to do?
I believe, the fire was on the 4th floor, So between sort of the lift, I have really vague memories of it, from leaving the lift, maybe going through the door, going up to the second floor. I remember vaguely about the second floor, and I don't even remember whether I carried any equipment up to the fourth floor.
Right. And you say in the third paragraph on page 8, I then went into the fourth floor lobby. And that's from the stairwell, is it?
Yes.
Before you pushed open the door, did you have any idea of what the conditions were going to be like in the fourth floor lobby?
No, I don't know whether I was the first in there, into the fourth floor lift lobby, and I didn't know what the conditions were going to be like before I went up there.
No, but you didn't have a hose with you, did you?
Sorry?
Did you have a hose with you?
No,
And you didn't have any BA?
I didn't know.
Would it be normal to enter into a lobby outside a fire flat in a high-rise block without water and without BA?
Do you mean like by the policy? The
Well,
policy would state that you charge a hose on the floor below and
Yeah.
bring it up with you.
Yes.
And But
Had that
we-
happened when you entered the fourth floor lobby?
that hadn't happened, no.
So, right. So, to repeat my question, were you, when entering into the fourth floor lobby without BA and without water, doing so in accordance with policy?
No, it wasn't according to the policy, no.
Right. Had anybody asked you to depart from policy?
No.
Can you tell us why you did so?
No, I can't. I don't know. If someone had said, even if the crew manager said, we'll go against policy, as I say, I don't remember.
Okay. Right. Would it be rare for you personally to not to comply with the policy on high-rise firefighting in the way you've just described?
What's rare?
Not often.
Percentages you want?
No, just as a feeling. I mean, is it something you do more often than not?
You mean like, yeah, I may push the boundaries of it, yes.
Right. Okay. And is that something you and your colleagues, you would say, do?
Yeah, we try to maybe to use our initiative, yeah.
Okay. Right. And what was it about using your initiative that that persuaded you that it was all right to go into the fourth floor lobby where you didn't know the conditions, without water and without BA?
As I say, I'm pretty sure I wasn't the first one up there, but whoever it was, they wouldn't have just opened the door and stuck their head in. There was a bit of common sense involved, and they'll crack the door open, and if it's clear, they'll probably set into that part of the drive riser.
Okay. Now, the second floor, although you don't, I think, say this in terms in your statement, let me put it this way. Did you know at the time you ascended up to the fourth floor that the second floor was going to be used as the bridgehead?
Yes, yeah, I did, yeah.
And
I know that just because that is always the case.
that is policy.
Yes.
But did anybody say to you, bridgehead's on the second floor, fire flat's on the fourth floor?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you proceed to the bridgehead first before going up to the fourth floor?
Obviously, I would have. I don't know.
I mean, did you treat the second floor as the bridgehead where you had to pass entry control before going further?
Yeah, well, I left the IEC kit on the second floor, which is at the bridgehead. So, with those actions would say that, yes, I treated it as the bridgehead, yes.
Right. And did anybody clock you, as it were, going past the bridgehead up to the fire floor?
What not, we're wearing breathing apparatus?
Well, without wearing breathing.
I don't know who's seen me, but someone's going to, even if we went to the third floor to start up with our first line, it's still going past BA control.
Yes. So did you have any involvement in setting up the third floor line, which would then be run up to the fourth floor?
Limited.
What was the limit of that activity?
I just turned the valve on.
So could you just talk me through what you did? So you left the second floor, went up the stairs to the third floor, then what?
No, No, I didn't. No, I went up to the 4th floor.
Right, let me...
The-
I may have confused you. Let's see.
Okay, floor 3.
Yes,
The second was actually the second line. Okay.
yes.
I didn't go into that floor till a bit later on.
Right. So you went straight to the 4th floor.
From memory, yes.
Did you have any involvement in setting the hose into the dry rising main on that floor?
Yes.
What was that involvement? What did you do?
I think I plugged it in. I don't remember opening the door for the riser. And I turned on the valve.
Okay. And who was on the 4th floor in the lobby at that point? Do you remember?
If my memory serves me right, I remember seeing firefighter Dorgu and firefighter Badillo.
Dorgu and Badillo.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember where firefighters Brown and Batterby were at that stage?
No.
Okay. And after you'd set the hose into the dry rising outlet on the 4th floor, what did you do next?
I don't know who plugged in who plugged the branch into the end of the hose, but it could have even been me, but I don't know, and went to turn on the valve.
Okay. And if you look at page 8 of your statement, 4th paragraph down, you describe in the first part of that paragraph what Charlie Batterby and Danny Brown were doing. You say they were there wearing BA and ready to break into the flat. Did you see them doing that?
Yes. Yes.
Then you say crew manager Secret was probably there too. You say probably. Do you remember him being there, or are you
no, I
guessing?
don't. It's very hard to remember who was there, actually. Straight after this incident, I still couldn't remember who was...
No, I understand. Okay. And then you say, I didn't see any smoke in the lobby or coming from flat 16 at this point. I couldn't smell anything. And I couldn't hear a smoke alarm going off. It all appeared very normal. You say very normal. Is it normal in a high-rise block to have no alarms going off at all when you attend a flat fire?
I would expect the alarm to be going off in a flat that was on fire, yes.
Okay.
And other than that, I think the point I was trying to make is that it wasn't... It was a normal fire. Was the point I was trying to make with that.
And do you remember who laid out the hose once you'd set it into the dry riser?
No.
Okay. Was there... Well, let me ask, did you have to wait long between setting the hose into the dry riser and the hose being charged, ready for entry into flat 16?
No, obviously when I said it in my statement, maybe 30 seconds or less than a minute. It didn't seem like we had to wait for the water. As soon as we plugged it in and I went to turn it on and there was no water, I don't think the crews were ready to go in anyway.
Yeah. And you then say in the third paragraph on page 9, that you can't remember whether it was Batterby or Brown who put the door of the flat on fire in, but as they did this, I was standing 5 or 6 metres away on the other side of the lobby with my back to the wall by the dry riser. Could you see them from where you were standing?
Yes. You
could. So you had a view across the lobby, did you?
I was, looking across the lobby by the door to the stairs.
Right. How good was your view of the front door of flat 16 at that point?
I could see the full door, other than the crew standing in front of it.
Okay. And if you look at that paragraph a little bit further on, you say, I think they squirted some water around the door first, and then it might have taken a couple of goes to get it open. Is that a couple of goes with the enforcer?
Yeah, I said it may have, or it might have just gone in one. There was no real problem with putting in the door.
Okay. And then you say, however, as soon as they did this, thick black smoke came through the top of the door into the lift lobby. The smoke came out of the top 40 centimetres of the doorway and was rolling across the top of the lobby ceiling.
Yes.
Is that how you remember it?
That is how I remember it,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, you say it was thick black smoke. Seeing thick black smoke, what did that tell you about the nature or seriousness of the fire in flat 16?
I would say it was quite a serious fire. It was, to me, it seemed like it might have been going for a while, I guess. Yet, further in my statement, I didn't think that it was going to be like a backdraft situation.
Right. And you say, I was slightly taken aback by the amount of smoke that came out of the door, as it was a little more than I was expecting. What were you expecting?
Well, obviously not that.
Obviously not that. Why were you expecting obviously not that?
The fire loading, we were called to a fire in the kitchen with probably little fire loading or fuel to the fire. We got there quite quick, and it seemed as though there was a lot more smoke than I was expecting to be in a flat for a small fire that I presumed we were going to.
Right. Okay. And then you say at the end of that paragraph, the thick black colour of the smoke made me think that it wasn't a ventilated fire and that it was contained within the flat. Could you just explain what you mean by a ventilated fire?
The smoke that was coming out was replaced by the air that was going in underneath it, which I presumed at the time meant that it was still contained in that compartment.
Right.
Is that clear?
Subject to my next question, yes it is.
Okay.
My next question is, why does the colour of smoke change when a fire is ventilated?
I wouldn't say that maybe the colour of the smoke changes, but it's the density, really.
The density changes, right. And once the door to flat 16 had been opened, is it right that you then left the 4th floor and went up to the 5th floor?
With an exchange of words with firefighter Badillo, yes.
Well, let's just look at that. So you have an exchange of words. I'm not sure that's in your statement, but it doesn't matter. Could you just tell us about the exchange of words? Well, first of all, where was firefighter Badillo when you spoke to him about your going upstairs?
We'd just come out of the flat that they put the door in. I believe, well, Dave was definitely in front of me.
Right.
I must have been on the way through the door when they put the door in. And we stopped outside the door and the stairs of the 4th floor. I was a few steps down from Dave, and that's when he told me that his battery had run out. So I gave him one of my spare batteries.
Yes, as you say. And then actually picking that up, we can in your statement. If you look at the bottom of page 9, you say, we were in the stairs for about a minute, this is just after the bit about the battery, and a half before I thought I would go and see if the fire had spread upstairs or if anyone was up there. Is that something you told firefighter Badillo?
Yeah, but I may have said it to him. Well, we split up, so I'd say that he knew I was going up. I don't know whether I actually said it to him that I was going up.
You didn't? You don't know whether you did or didn't, or you...
I don't know whether I actually said it to him, but he would have been aware because he went down and I went up.
I see. Did you see him? Did he see you going up?
I think he did, yes.
As far as you remember?
As far as I remember, yes.
Okay. Now, you'd arrived at Grenfell Tower at 59 minutes past midnight. Can you estimate the time when you left the 4th floor lobby to go up to the 5th floor?
It was immediately after me and Dave were on the stairs. I don't know, a minute after they put the door in. I wouldn't like to guess the timeline because I seem to be shockingly wrong with that.
Right. Now, just picking it back up then, at the bottom, very bottom of page 9, I've just shown you this. You say you were in the stairs for about a minute and a half before I thought I would go up and see if the fire had spread upstairs or if anyone was up there. And then over the page, you continue in your statement. You say, I was the first person to go up the stairs. It's not necessarily my job to go and check the other floors, as we did have 2 crew managers there. However, because we had extra firefighters there that night, I thought that I would check to see if the floor above was alight. Now, just pausing there. Did anybody ask you to go up the stairs and check the other floors?
No.
So you did that off your own bat?
Yes, I did.
Would it be normal at an ordinary, or what you thought was an ordinary high-rise fire, for a firefighter to decide for himself or herself to explore another part of the building?
I can't speak for every other firefighter, but after seeing the smoke coming out of the flat on the 4th floor, I thought I'd investigate to see if there were any effects on the 5th floor.
What was it about what you saw of the smoke coming out of the flat on the 4th floor that you thought might need investigating on the 5th floor?
Just the as I said before, the density of the smoke, maybe. I just took it upon myself to go and have a look.
Yeah. Were you concerned that there might be spread up the building at that point?
Not at that point, no.
What made you think that it was necessary to make the trip up a floor?
Instinct?
Instinct.
Yes.
That's interesting. And this instinct, based on experience?
I don't know. I can only imagine it is.
Instinct looking at what?
There was... I'm only guessing here now, unfortunately, but as we had so many people there, it wasn't necessarily anything for me to do as such, so I just thought I would take a look upstairs. I'd maybe call it instinct.
Was there something particular about what you'd seen in the fire in the flat, or the smoke from the flat on the 4th floor, that triggered this instinct?
Possibly. If I had a different job to do, I probably wouldn't have gone upstairs.
Okay. Did you communicate your decision to go upstairs to anybody?
No. Only, as I say, I don't know whether I'd said it to Dave Badillo. So, no, but I certainly didn't say anything on the radio.
And you had a radio with you, didn't you? A fireground radio?
Yes.
Tuned to Channel 1?
Yes, it was.
If you'd wanted to tell anybody where you were going, who would you have communicated with?
I would have nothing to report back. If I wanted to tell someone, I suppose everything goes back to the officer in charge, really. But I didn't.
You didn't. Did anything make you suspect at that point, as you left the 4th floor and went to the 5th, that the fire had started to spread upstairs?
Not before I opened the door of the 5th floor lobby, no.
And you say in the next sentence in the first paragraph on page 10, I could have put a BA set on, but I felt that due to my level of experience, I was better placed to go and see what was going on with the other floors, and that if I reported something, Watch Manager Dowden, he would take me more seriously than perhaps other firefighters. From the start, I did not expect the fire to have spread to multiple floors. It looks from that, Mr. O'Byrne, that your purpose in deciding for yourself to go and look and see what was happening on the other floors was because if something was amiss up there, you could report to Watch Manager Dowden, who would then take you seriously because of your experience.
Yeah, unfortunately, Make yourself look very... yes, I believe that would have been the case, yes.
So would it not have been important, if you did find something on the fifth floor that you thought your experience required you to report to him, to report it to him?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll come to that. Let's get you up to the fifth floor.
Yeah.
You go to the fifth floor and you describe your trip to it. You say, I don't remember passing anyone on the stairs as I went up. Can I just ask you, what were the conditions, the air conditions in the stairwell like at that point?
They were clear.
They were clear. Okay.
Yes.
And then you say you didn't feel any level of urgency as you went up. And then you say, as I walked from the stairwell into the fifth floor lobby, it was clear of smoke, but a family of 3 people had just come out of the flat that was directly above the flat 16. And they told you that their kitchen was alight.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what they said to you? Remember their words?
Not from memory now, no.
Okay. And what was your reaction to that at the time? What did you think?
I didn't doubt them, I guess, but I thought it might have been just smoke.
Right. Because you say at the end of the first paragraph on page 10 that from the start I did not expect the fire to have spread to multiple floors. So when the family come out from the flat immediately above flat 16 and tell you that their kitchen was alight, was that news to you, which would be surprising?
Yes, of course it would have been surprising, yes.
And what did you do next when they told you that their kitchen was alight?
I looked through their letterbox and didn't see any smoke.
And then in the next... Okay, well, before we leave them, and what happened to that family? Where did they go? Do you know?
I believe they went down the stairs.
Right. And then you say in the second paragraph on page 10, 4 lines up from the bottom, as I looked through the letterbox of their flat, and it seemed like it was nicely wallpapered and was brightly lit, as the hallway light was on, I couldn't see or smell any smoke from within the flat. I think this would be from within the flat, although I have no recollection of any smells from that night. However, I presume the family must have shut their kitchen door. What did that tell you? You look in, you see no smoke. What did you think was going on within that flat?
Well, I presumed that there was no one in there, obviously, because the family had left and they shut the door behind them by mistake. I can only work off what they've told me, and they said that their kitchen was alight, so I radioed down to say that the kitchen was alight and we needed a BA crew and breaking-in gear.
Yes, and that you say in the next paragraph in your statement. We'll just have that on the screen. And I just want to focus on your communications with Watch Manager Dowden, if I can. You radioed down to Watch Manager Dowden. Where were you standing when you did that?
I was standing in the lift lobby on the 5th floor, outside the door of the flat.
Right.
The flat, what was it, 26, I believe?
And when you said something along the lines of flat above the fire, floor is on fire, their kitchen is alight, we need a BA crew and breaking-in gear, those are the words you said into the radio, are they?
Yes, I believe so. Whether I said about the kitchen, but I definitely said we need a crew up here. The flats above the fire floor is alight, and we need a BA crew with breaking-in gear.
And as far as you're concerned, did you think Mike Dowden heard what you'd said?
Obviously, this message is directed at Mike Dowden, but
yes,
it's also for everybody else on the fire ground.
Right.
So who will hopefully pick up the message, obviously.
Okay. And did you think at the time that Mike Dowden had picked that up?
At the time, yes.
At the time. And how did you think he would have picked that up? By what mechanism or medium would he have heard you make this message?
Sorry, do you mean did I use my radio?
Well, you were using your radio. What would Mike Dowden have received the message on?
On his handheld radio.
Right, so it would have broadcast on his handheld radio to him, would it?
Yes.
Okay. And how would other people have heard that message, do you think?
Well, at the time, that message is also directed at other trucks coming in onto the fire ground that will be have other BA wearers.
Right. And which channel were you on?
Channel 1.
So is it right that everyone who was tuned into Channel 1 and receiving Channel 1 messages would have heard that message?
I believe so, yes.
Right. Do you remember anybody communicating back to you that your message had been received and understood by anybody?
No.
Would it be normal for you to receive such a message if, in fact, that message had been received and understood by anybody?
It's not... You may get a response. It's not unusual if you do not get a response.
Okay. So the fact that you didn't get a response didn't tell you anything one way or the other, did it, about whether your message had been received and understood?
That's correct, yes.
You just assumed it had?
Yes.
Okay. Watch Manager Dowden says that he doesn't recall getting any kind of message like that from you, from
Yes.
the 5th floor.
Yeah.
Can you comment on that?
Maybe his radio might have transmitted and he was obviously very busy, or it may not, his radio may not have picked it up.
Right. So if his radio was on transmission because he was using it to send messages, would that mean that he wouldn't be able to hear messages coming in?
When I sent that message, there was no one was speaking on the radio because I sent a message.
I see. I see. Did you attempt to speak to anybody other than Mike Dowden about what you'd found on the 5th floor?
No, I didn't, no. As I say, this was a message that was sent out. Obviously, it's directed at the officer in charge, but it's to everybody on the fire ground to hear that the fire, there's a fire above the fire floor.
Right. Did you try to send that message to the bridgehead on Channel 6?
No.
Is there a reason why not?
I have no reason why I didn't.
Okay. And was that an option to send? If you couldn't get hold of Mike, you thought you might not have got the message through to Mike.
Okay,
Dowden,
I
to
sent
send
them.
it to the bridgehead instead.
There is an option to change to Channel 6 and see if I can get hold of the officer in charge at the bridgehead, yes. I had no doubt in my mind that that message had been sent and everyone on the fire ground had received it.
You say you have no doubt. That's right, is it, even though you'd had no confirmation that that message had been received?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Did you speak to anybody else on the 5th floor? Any other occupants?
No, just that family that come out of flat 26.
Did you knock on any doors on the 5th floor?
No, I didn't, no.
Did you think to do so? Did you think?
Obviously not, otherwise I would have thought I would have done it, but I didn't.
Looking back now, and I just know these questions aren't easy, but looking back on it now, is there a reason why you didn't knock on any of the doors? On the 5th
Probably due to the stay put policy. There was a fire in a compartment on that floor, so I presumed it would stay on in that compartment.
Okay. And did the fact that there was a fire in the flat, or at least possibly smoke in that flat, alert you to any problems with compartmentation in the building, now you'd been up there?
No, it didn't. It just, to me, a window's gone and it's licked up into another window, is how I saw that situation at that time.
Okay. Now the next thing that you do, and I'm summarising quite a bit of activity that you've put in your statement, but is you go down to get an enforcer off the pump.
Off the ladder, yes. Off pump ladder, yes.
Off the pump ladder, yes.
Yep.
Did anybody tell you to do that, or was that your own idea?
No, it was purely my idea.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, it's now 2:30.
Yes, I
The
saw
witness
that.
has been going for a good hour. I'm in the middle of a line of questions, but this might be an appropriate moment for a
Well,
break.
let's see, Mr. Abell, how are you getting on? Would you
Sound perfect, yeah. No problem at all.
probably, I mean, could you finish this topic within, say, 10 minutes or so?
Yes.
Should we do that? And
Yes,
then we'll have a
brilliant.
break when you get to the end of
Fine.
it.
Abell.
Is that all right for
Thank
you?
you, yes, perfect, thank you.
Did you tell Watch Manager Dowden that you were off to get an enforcer off the pump ladder?
No,
Okay. And what about people at the bridgehead? Did you tell them that that's where you were going?
to be honest, no, I didn't tell anyone. I don't actually remember seeing anyone.
Right. How could Watch Manager Dowden keep tabs on you if you weren't telling him where you were going and what you were doing?
He can't really keep tabs. He's got more important things to be doing than knowing where his firefighters are every second, I guess.
Is that right? Is it not important for an incident commander in your
Well,
experience
for
to
a-
know,
yeah,
know where his
obviously-
firefighters are and what
Obviously,
they do?
his primary concern is us, but we're off doing stuff.
Right. Is that how it works in general in your experience, that actually there's a fair measure of discretion given to the firefighters on the fire ground to do what they think is best to tackle?
As long as they come back in one piece, yeah, I guess. Well, maybe not just do what they want. No, there's obviously procedures in place. Mike Dowden has an expectation of us, of what we do.
Right. What about Bridgehead Command? Does the same apply? How could they keep tabs on you if you didn't?
They don't just keep tabs on us if we're in breathing apparatus. It's within reason, yeah.
I see. So their concern is the BA wearers going up and into the tower and down again, rather than anything else more widely on the fire ground. Is that?
I would say
Is that right?
yes. I would say so.
Now, if you look at page 11 of your statement, paragraph 2, you say that as I made my way down the stairwell, I don't remember there being any smoke. When I went past the door to the 4th floor, it was closed, as lobby doors automatically closed behind you, and I didn't see any smoke coming out into the stairwell. So, at that stage, could you tell us where or what had happened to the hose that was supposed to be set into the 3rd floor dry riser?
The hose that was set into the 3rd floor dry riser hadn't been. I know now that it hasn't been charged, but it hadn't been taken out. So it hadn't been charged, hadn't been taken out the lift lobby area on the 3rd floor and brought up at that stage.
Right. Okay, which explains why the 4th floor door was closed.
Yes.
Because if it had been taken up, it would have been propped open. Is that?
That's correct. Yes.
Right. And in paragraph 3 of the same page, you say, as I came out of the building, I was focused on getting the braking in gear, so I didn't pay much attention to who else was outside at the time. Did you look back up at the tower at that stage?
No, I didn't. No.
Did you hear anybody talking outside about how the fire was progressing?
I don't remember seeing anyone outside. No. So I was very unaware of what the extent of the fire was.
Could you just describe your movements? You exit the tower from the main entrance, is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
And you go across to pump ladder.
Yeah.
271.
To get the there's a little hydraulic ram, or we've used the enforcer to break the door in already. So that's in a smoke-filled lobby upstairs.
Yeah. And the distance from the entrance to the tower and that pump ladder was what?
I don't know, the best part of maybe 10 metres or something like that.
Yes. Okay. So it's a few steps to go to the pump ladder and then back in
Well,
again.
probably about 10 good strides, I guess. Yeah.
10 good strides. All right.
Yes.
And just cutting through this, you get to the pump ladder, you find there's no enforcer, and you decide to go back up to the 2nd floor. I think that's summarising what you say in your 3rd paragraph on page 11.
Yes.
And you say, you think in the last sentence, I think it took me about 2.5 minutes to get down from the 5th floor, outside of the pump ladder, and back up the stairs.
Yeah.
And then you say you didn't put a BA set on, and then in the last paragraph on page 11, however, when I went back into the building, I'm not sure why, but I actually ended up going onto the 3rd floor rather than the 2nd floor. Was that a mistake? Did you tend to go to the 2nd floor but ended up on the 3rd floor?
I may have gone into the... I think I've brought the sledgehammer up. I don't even know where I put it. I must have put it at the bridgehead on the 2nd floor. I'm not 100% sure. I definitely went into the 3rd floor.
Did you pass the bridgehead on the way up?
As I say, I don't even know whether I went into the bridgehead. I can't actually remember. I don't remember seeing anyone. I don't remember stopping at the 2nd floor. I just remember at the fire engine, walking towards the pump when I couldn't find the hydraulic ram, and then the next minute I was on the 3rd floor. So,
when you were going to the 3rd floor, or when you arrived at the 3rd floor, did you tell anyone where you were or where you were going?
no.
Did you know at this stage whether there was any kind of plan as how best to assist the occupants of the building in terms of rescue or identification?
No.
Continuing in the last paragraph on page 11, if we can, you say, when I went to onto the 3rd floor, I found firefighter Dorgu, who had plugged in the hose and flaked it out to get it ready. And then you describe how firefighter Badillo would have helped him. And you then go on and explain how the valve works.
Yes.
You explain then, at the bottom, you say either firefighter Dorgu or firefighter Badillo, had smashed the glass window to make a hole through which to plug in the hose, probably because we didn't have the keys to this door.
Yes.
And they go over the page, you say, however, this caused a problem as we would normally turn the valve on from above, but the hole was made below the valve. And then you explain about what the difficulties were with that. And I've read you that at a little bit of length because you described the difficulties at length, but my question is, I think, a simple one. Who would you expect to have held the keys to the glass door protecting the dry riser valve on the 3rd floor?
I don't know.
Was it a surprise to you that you had to smash the glass?
I wouldn't say, it's not a surprise that... I didn't obviously smash the glass, it was broken before I got there, but no, I wouldn't be surprised that the glass had to be smashed to plug the hose in.
Is that a normal thing in your experience, to have to smash
I've seen it done before, I think, yes.
Right, okay. You then describe in the next paragraph that you told firefighter Dorgu that the flat on the 5th floor was alight. And you say, he said something like, you mean it's smoke? But I said, no, the people coming out said it's alight. I left firefighter Dorgu with the hose and went back up to the 5th floor. Do you know whether firefighter Dorgu communicated what you told to him to anybody else?
I don't know.
You left firefighter Dorgu, as you say, with the hose, and that's on the 3rd floor, and you went back up to the 5th floor. What were the conditions like in the stairwell on the way back from the 3rd to the 5th floor at this point?
They were fine.
Fine.
Very clear.
And were people coming down? What was the traffic like on the stairs?
I don't remember, but there could have been people passing me, but I just don't remember.
Right.
Mr. Millett, if we're going now to deal with return to the 5th floor flat,
Yes, yeah.
might that be a convenient point?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I think, Mr. Abell, we will have a break now.
Thank you, sir.
So you go with the usher. We'll resume at 5 to 3. That's
Perfect.
all right.
Cheers, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Right, 5 to 3, please. Right, Mr. Abell?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Good. Yes, Mr. Millett.
Mr. Abell, a couple of revision questions, if I may.
Okay.
First of all, going back to your training and lessons learned in the light of Lakenhall House, do you remember whether there was any discussion or education given to you or in which you were involved after Lakenhall House in 2009 about whether the stay put policy should be revised?
Not to my knowledge, no.
No. And secondly, we talked a moment ago before the break about your activities on the third floor, helping firefighter Dorgu lay out the hose, breaking the glass on the dry rising main outlet. Do you remember whether you knocked on any doors on the third floor?
No. When I walked into the third floor lobby, all I'd done was turn the valve on. I didn't do anything with the hose.
Right.
And I didn't knock on any doors. I was only there for a very short period of time.
Okay. Do you know whether anybody else on that floor knocked on any doors?
I don't know.
Okay. Going back to your trip to the fifth floor, are you able to estimate at what time you returned to the fifth floor?
No. Came in to the building again with a sledge, which I don't remember carrying, actually. I don't know where I left the sledge, so I went straight to the third floor, I believe. So I don't know. It was, if you have a timestamp on when I re-entered the building, I would say couldn't be more than 2 minutes after that I re-entered the fifth floor.
Yeah. Yeah, yes. And when you got to the fifth floor, were you alone?
Yes.
Was there any smoke in the fifth floor lobby once you left the stairwell?
No.
Could you smell anything?
No, I couldn't smell anything all night. I have no memory of smelling anything all night.
No, you said before. Okay.
Yeah.
And you returned to the flat where you were told the fire was, and that was directly above flat 16. Is that right?
Yes.
Could you see the number of the flat on the flat front door?
No, I don't remember. It was that number. I only found out that it was that number after.
Okay.
I said it was the fire above the fire floor.
Okay. Now, if you could go, please, to page 12 of your statement. Page 12 of your statement. And you say, in the third line, however, when I looked through the letterbox I had looked through earlier, there was thick black smoke inside the hallway of the flat, and I could no longer see anything inside. I couldn't see the wallpaper, and I couldn't tell whether the light was on or off. And you say, smoke is normally thicker at the top, which is probably why I couldn't see the light, but I remember thinking that whatever was burning had gone up really quickly due to the amount of smoke that had accumulated in the 3 or 4 minutes since I first looked through the letterbox. I thought this was really quite serious, as something was burning really quickly, although I still didn't think at that stage that people were going to die or anything like that. Now, let me just ask you about that. I've read it out to you in full because there are a number of questions I've got about it. First of all, you say there was thick black smoke inside the hallway of the flat.
Yes.
And you could no longer see anything inside. That's how you remember it, is it? Just completely black?
Just through looking at the letterbox, yeah.
And what, in the light of the change that you had seen between your first trip and your second trip of only a few minutes later, back up to the fifth floor, what did that change in the smoke conditions inside the flat tell you about the nature of the fire inside the flat?
That something was burning, which was giving off a lot of smoke. So I believe at that time it was more serious than I first thought.
Right. And did you have any thoughts about whether the fire had spread from the fourth to the fifth floor?
Yes.
Yeah. And what were those thoughts? What did you think?
Well, I thought they had spread to the fifth floor. Obviously, after the tenants or the occupant left the flat and said it was a light, I wouldn't say I doubted them that it was a light, but I felt at that time, the second time I looked for the letterbox, it was pretty much confirmed that flat would have been a light.
It confirmed. And did that confirm to you that compartmentation as between the fourth and the fifth floor had failed?
This could have been through an open window, so But yes, I believe that there was now 2 compartments on fire in that building.
Right. Did you think that it was important at that stage to tell anybody on the fire ground below what you had just seen through the letterbox in that flat?
I believed that my message was received the first time round. I think I might have said it in my statement. I can't remember whether I sent a second message about the 5th floor.
Well, I'll come to that, but I'm just at the point of you looking through the letterbox. Did you radio anybody down at that point and say, the flat's full of thick smoke? I think compartmentation has gone.
No, but if the compartment has failed from downstairs to upstairs, it would have gone through a window. So that would have been visible from outside.
Right. You say that would have been. Was that your assumption at the time?
That was my assumption at the time, that if one compartment has failed, it's gone through a window.
Okay. Did you take any steps to notify the remaining occupants of the 5th floor of the presence of fire on their floor?
No.
Is there a reason why?
There is no reason why. I just, from the stay put, stay put policy is that no other compartment was involved. So I guess through training and stuff, right, I didn't think that any other compartment was going to be involved.
Okay. Did you speak to anybody else at all on the 5th floor about the presence of fire?
No, not from my... No.
Now, in the second last paragraph on page 12, just look down at that for a moment. You say, however, as I didn't have a BA set, hose or crew, I thought there was nothing I could do on the 5th floor. I was still thinking that Hammersmith's crew would be coming up with a couple of BA sets and they would come straight in. I therefore decided to go up to check the 6th floor. And did you take any steps to find out why the Hammersmith BA crew had not yet arrived?
No.
I mean, you obviously weren't going to make entry into that flat. Well, sorry, let me put the question slightly less leadingly. Did you have any thoughts about whether you would now put the door in and attempt to tackle the fire?
No, not at all.
And just explain why that was.
I didn't have water. BA set, as I explained, hose. I was on my own. There was obviously, it looked like a well-established fire in there at this stage. Right. I certainly wasn't going to break the door down, no.
Did you think at the time that it was important to get a BA crew with water up there as soon as possible to attack that fire?
When I looked through, I still, yes, to a level, yes, it would have been quite important, but there was nothing I was going to be able to do to hurry them up the stairs. I still thought that there was now just 2 compartments alight.
Yes. You say there was nothing you could do to hurry them up the stairs. Did you think at the time of radioing down to the bridgehead, switching to Channel 6, radioing down to the bridgehead and saying, send the Hammersmith BA guys up fast?
Yeah, when I might have said about Hammersmith, I presumed that it was both trucks were going to come to make... it could have been any BA crew, yeah? No, I didn't think of changing to Channel 6 to say that there was a fire on the 5th floor.
And do you know why that...
No, I don't have an answer for that, no.
And what about radioing down to Mike Dowden again to say it's urgent, you've got to send a pair of BA wearers and some water up to the flat on the 5th floor now?
Because I believed that my message that I first sent was received by people on the fire ground.
Okay. But even though you'd now seen the fire become more serious in flat 26 for yourself, you still didn't pursue that?
As I say, from my understanding, that it's gone from one window to another, it will be seen from the outside, so I didn't think I was the only person on the fire ground that would know that the flat above the fire floor was alight.
Okay, and at the bottom of the page, you say, I don't remember radioing Watch Manager Dowden again regarding this flat before I left the 5th floor, as I normally try to keep radio traffic to a minimum. I'd already sent a message to get a crew to attend, and the radio should only be used for important things. My question is, well, was that not an important thing to extinguish the fire in flat 26? to justify
Yeah,
sending a
sorry,
further
yeah, of course it's very important. But as I say, the fire has broken out of one window and gone into another, so it will be visible from the outside. So me confirming that there's a fire in a flat where they can see from the outside,
Yeah.
it would be one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to take up radio traffic.
Yes. In your statement at the top of page 13, you say, however, my notes, which were made after the incident, state that I again radioed Watch Manager Dowden again to tell him about the worsening conditions before I went up to the 6th floor. You do indeed do that. I'll show you the notes if I can. It's page 2 of the contemporaneous notes, your first set.
Would you like him to look at that?
Yes, I'd like you to look at that, please. If you
Okay.
could be shown that. And Mr. Trial Director, that is MET quadruple 05337. And if you, maybe it's 5338. I think there are 2 sets. Yes, thank you. Now, if you look at page 2, and if you look halfway down...
Can I just ask, can you read that on the screen?
Even if it was big enough, I probably couldn't read it.
Well,
to
you've
be
got the
honest.
hard copy there. If you go to the blue...
Perfect. That's
right,
perfect.
as long as you can read that.
That's right. That's your handwriting, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I think, well, we can read it, so you're being a bit hard on yourself. Can we just follow it down? You say, I then went back to the 5th floor approximately 3 to 5 minutes after, and then help me, my initial entry to the lobby of the 5th floor.
Yeah.
Is that right? Am I reading it right?
Yeah.
Okay. I looked through the letterbox and the flat was filled with thick black smoke, radioed to Watch Manager Dowden again and described rapid worsening conditions. Now, this contemporaneous note was done, as I understand it, well, you tell me, when was that done?
That was done, most of it the next morning, straight after the fire, and then I went home to have a sleep and then come back and finished it off around about 8 o'clock that evening.
Okay. Looking at the contemporaneous note that you did that just after the fire, do you think that it's right that you did radio down to Watch Manager Dowden again and tell him about the rapidly worsening conditions?
I would say that my notes here were probably right, but I obviously, after doing my police statement, I obviously doubted myself.
Okay. And again, do you have any recollection about receiving any kind of confirmation from Watch Manager Dowden or anybody else on the fireground about the message you'd sent them?
No.
Did you have any reason to think that your communications were or might not be working at that stage?
No.
Could you test them, or did you try to test them with anybody else?
No.
Did it occur to you that it might be strange that no one was speaking to you?
No. No, it wasn't that strange, sorry.
No. Okay. Did anybody at this stage know where you were? Apart perhaps from firefighter Dorgu, who you told you were going back up to the 5th floor?
No.
Okay, so you then say at the end of paragraph 1 on page 13, you say you radioed Watch Manager Dowden before I went up to the 6th floor, and then you describe in the next paragraph how you made your way up the stairs. How soon after you think radioing Watch Manager Dowden did you go up to the 6th floor?
Immediately after.
Immediately after. Was that trip, or part of the trip, under instruction or off your own bat?
It was off my own back.
You then say in the first paragraph, or first main paragraph on page 13, as I made my way up the stairs, conditions in the stairwell were normal and free of smoke. I'm not sure anyone passed me on the stairs as I went up. Once I was on the 6th floor, I went straight to the door of the flat that was directly above the other flats on fire. It was a little bit smoky in the lobby. And then you go on to describe a Spanish-speaking family of 3 coming out. I'll come back to that. But just in terms of the conditions in the 6th floor lobby, Mr. Redburn, you say it was a little bit smoky. Could you describe that smoke for us, first of all?
You could see it across the lobby. It wasn't. It was darkish, I guess, in colour, not very light white smoke. So it would have been a darker grey, I guess. But visibility was okay.
Right. And what, if anything, did the presence of smoke in the lift lobby on the 6th floor tell you about the progress of the fire that you had seen so far?
To me, it seemed like it had been going up through maybe opened windows or something at the time.
Right. So did you have any thoughts about whether it was progressing through the building in any other way, the fire?
The fire, no, just purely outside.
Right. Now, as I've just shown you in your statement, you go on to say, as I approached the door, a Spanish-speaking family of 3 were coming out of their flat. Again, the same door, 2 floors above the fire floor, and heading towards the door to the stairs. I'll just pause there. Did you say anything to them, to this family?
I would have said something along the lines of, if there's anyone in there, and would have directed them towards the stairs to go down.
And you say, halfway down the paragraph, you can't remember your conversation with them other than telling me that their flat was alight. I asked them whether there was anyone else inside. I don't remember what they replied, but I'm certain that they did not say yes in response to this question. Did you examine their flat? Did you look inside it?
I went to the door, yes.
Was the door... well, you say in the next sentence, they'd closed the front door of their flat, but I could still open it. So did you actually open their front door?
I'm sure I looked inside that flat, yes.
How far open did you open the door, do you think?
I didn't open... I wouldn't have opened it totally, but I'd have opened it a bit to have a look and then would have shut it again, I should think.
And you describe the smoke. You say, as I did this, it was heavily smoke-logged inside the flat. I could see a wall of thick black smoke from floor to ceiling, which was greyer at the bottom and darker at the top. Thick black smoke came out of the door into the lobby, so I quickly closed the door again. What did that smoke and those conditions tell you on the 6th floor about the way in which this fire was now behaving?
It told me that the fire at that time, I felt, was going from one window to another upwards.
Right. So where would the smoke have been coming from? What would have been burning to produce smoke like that in the flat on the 6th floor, now 2 floors above the fire, did you think?
At the time, I didn't even pay it too much of attention. I just knew that now it's another flat was alight.
You thought another flat was alight?
Yeah, another one. That would be the 3rd one, isn't it? We're on floor 6 now, aren't we? So that would be the 3rd flat alight. Is what I thought.
Right. So the smoke that you saw, you didn't think of just clarifying your evidence. I think.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did it work this way, that you now thought, having seen the smoke in this flat, which is 2 floors above the fire floor, that there were now 3 separate flats separately alight?
Yeah, they told me that their flat was alight, if I remember rightly, yes. So I thought that there was 3 flats alight.
So this wasn't just smoke propagating from the 4th floor, coming into the 5th floor and the 6th floor. These were 3 separate fires.
No, I'm sure they told me that their flat was alight.
Yeah. Okay. And what did that tell you now about the extent of the breach of compartmentation in the building, if anything?
Whether I paid it any attention at all at that time, all I could say was maybe that I would have thought that the windows were open. Obviously, a level of concern because of how quick it's, 3 floors have gone up. 3 floors are alight now.
Yes.
Quicker than I can go up the stairs, it felt. So yeah, I was growing concerned. I had a growing concern with it.
Yes. And did you have any thoughts about how serious the situation was becoming?
I was dealing with the here and now. Yeah. I thought 3 flats are alight. I thought we could go and put 3 flats out.
On page 13, in the next paragraph down, you say, although the fire had spread upwards, it thought, I think you must mean I thought, that it was still contained, as it was only 2 floors above the fire floor. It still seemed like quite a normal fire at this point, therefore I didn't think it was necessary to knock on everyone's doors and tell them to get out, although I had time to do this when there were more important things I should be doing. All flats are basically concrete blocks, and normally the only place that a fire encased in concrete might spread is upwards. Can I just ask you about that evidence? You're faced with 3 separate fires on 3 separate floors, which had started in one place, in one flat, on one floor.
Yes.
Why do you say there that you thought it was still contained?
It was contained to 3 flats at the time, is what I thought.
Did you have any thoughts about its progress?
You mean the speed in which it set 3 flats alight?
Well, let me be clear. You say I thought it was still contained, but it had gone, I think, quite quickly from a flat fire in one flat to a fire in the flat above it, and then a fire in the flat above that.
Yes.
That doesn't sound to the unskilled, like me, to a contained fire.
Obviously, while the police statement was written after I knew the outcome of that night, that's why I tried to put it in maybe layman's terms.
So, just trying to get a clarity on your thoughts at the time, at that moment you saw the 3rd fire, i.e. the fire on the 6th floor. What made you think at that stage that it was still contained and wouldn't progress further up the building?
Bad choice of words. It obviously wasn't contained. There was 3 compartments now alight. It's the way I saw it.
Right.
I was just dealing with the here and now. I was trying to get the people out of that flat, and I still thought that it would only be those 3 compartments.
I see. Did you take any steps to notify the remaining occupants of the 6th floor?
No.
As to the presence of fire on that floor?
No.
Can you explain why that was?
Because it was only that flat that was involved in the fire. The flat on the 6th floor that this family had come out, or what flat was it, 36? Yeah, so that was the only flat on that floor that was involved in the fire at that time, I believed.
But at that stage, you've got a fire which has spread from 4th floor to 5th floor, set it alight. 5th floor to 6th floor, set that flat alight. So you've got 3 separate fires, and there's no guarantee it's going to stop at that stage. Did you begin to think at that stage that, in fact, the fire was now spreading and that people now needed to be alerted to the fact that there was a fire on their floor?
No, I didn't. It didn't cross my mind to knock on their doors and try to get anybody out of their flat.
Okay. You say in the paragraph I've just read you, in the second line, it still seemed like quite a normal fire at this point. Is that right? Is it, in your experience, normal for a fire which starts in a room, in one compartment, in a high-rise tower block, to spread to the flat above, and then the flat above that?
Obviously, it's not normal, but as I said, if you take into context after this was written, after I found out after it happened, I was trying to maybe downplay if that's the right phrase to use.
Right. I mean, I'm just trying to see to what extent, when you wrote this in your police statement, it really reflected what you actually were thinking at the time. And so casting your mind back and forgetting your police statement for a moment, looking at the fact that you've now got a fire in flat 16, a fire in flat 26, and a fire in flat in flat 36, did you think, well, this is normal? Or did you think this is not?
No, it's obviously not normal. It's broke into 3 flats, quick, but I didn't expect it to break into any more quickly, like it has, or anything like that.
Why is that?
I was dealing with what I saw at that time. What was there was now 3 different flats of light that were in a line. I didn't.
Okay. And did you have any thoughts about the risk of lateral fire spread?
To me at the time, it just seemed like it was affecting the flats in a straight line going vertical.
Okay. And you say you didn't think you had the time to knock on other people's doors when there were more important things I should be doing. Could you just tell me what were those more important things you thought you should be doing?
I felt that the other flats on that floor were going to be safe, and I radioed down to say that there's 2 floors of light above the fire floor, and I wanted to investigate further by going upstairs.
Who you say you radioed down?
Yes.
And you do indeed say that. If you just look at the last paragraph on page 13 of your statement, you say, I radioed down to the governor. Sorry, I'll just wait for that to come up. Yeah, there, the last paragraph on page 13. I radioed down to the governor, Watch Manager Dowden, again, but I didn't get any reply. I didn't get a reply to any of the radio messages I'd sent to the governor, but I assumed he was still very busy, but that he could hear me. On this occasion, how confident are you that you did send that message from the 6th floor?
Yeah. Yes, I'm very confident, yes.
You remember doing that?
Yes. I would have definitely done that.
And do you remember getting any kind of confirmation from anybody?
No.
Did that, now that you saw 3 flats of light, did it not concern you that you weren't getting any confirmations or feedback from anybody at all?
No, it didn't concern me. I'm sure that at the time I was quite aware that if there was a fire in the flat above and I've radioed that down, it would have only breached via the window. So I wasn't overly concerned that someone didn't get back to me because they probably would have been aware of it.
Just to go back to the question of lateral spread that we discussed just a moment ago, if I could just ask you 1 or 2 further questions about that. Is your experience that lateral fire spread in a high-rise block is rare?
I don't know whether it's rare. Obviously, the wind affects it and things like that. So, at that time, it wasn't something that crossed my mind that evening.
Have you any personal experience as a frontline firefighter of dealing with lateral fire spread in a high rise?
I haven't been on an incident like that, but I'm aware of it.
Right.
I think we must have done case studies and stuff.
Right. Did you know or have any training on how lateral fire spread happens? What the mechanisms are?
As I said, I believe wind. Can blow embers in them. Other than that, I couldn't really go into the science of it.
Right. What about how the building is built? How the building is constructed? Is that something that might affect
you mean
lateral fire spread?
The wing of a plane or something like that? Is that what you're guessing at? Something like that? Along those lines?
Well, let me ask the question. Did you ever have any training or did you have any firefighting experience about the effect of building construction on lateral fire spread?
We may have, but I don't remember any training on the shape of a building affecting it.
What did you know on the night of the Grenfell Tower fire as to how Grenfell Tower was built so as to be able to withstand the risk of lateral fire spread?
I didn't know that.
No. So what led you to believe that so far as lateral fire spread is concerned, Grenfell Tower would behave normally?
Sorry, say that again, please.
Yeah, what led you to believe that so far as Grenfell Tower was concerned, it would behave normally so far when it came to lateral fire spread?
You mean but lateral fire spread can happen, is that what you're... I'm aware that lateral fire spread can happen.
Yeah. And given what you didn't know about the way in which Grenfell Tower was built, how could you assess whether Grenfell Tower would promote lateral spread of fire?
I don't know.
Okay. Is it right that, in fact, you just assumed that there wouldn't be lateral spread of fire?
Okay, you can say that, yeah, but I was dealing with 3 flats that were in a line, one above the other, so lateral fire spread didn't really come into my thoughts at that time.
You then go up to the 7th floor, and we see this from the first paragraph on page 14 of your statement. You say, again, as I went up, again, the stairwell from the 6th to the 7th floor, the conditions were normal and clear. First of all, your move from the 6th to the 7th floor, was that under instruction or was that off your own bat?
It was off my own back.
Okay, second question, did you tell anybody when you were leaving the 6th floor and going to the 7th?
No.
So, just to summarise your trip, as it were, 4th to 5th, 5th to 6th.
Nice way to put it. 6th
to 7th.
Yes.
You were really a sort of free-range, free agent, were you?
I'm sure there's a better way to explain it or express it than that, but yes, no one was aware that I was doing what I was doing, other than the radio message that I sent down.
In your experience, would it be normal to have, and I don't mean to be disrespectful in describing you in that way, but would it be normal to have as it were, a free operator with no BA and no water going up through the tower without telling anybody where he is and without being under instruction to find out what was happening?
No.
Why were you in that position?
Inquisitive, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's probably a better phrase than that. But once I saw the fire on the 5th floor, and obviously I didn't have any equipment to deal with that at the time, I thought I'd investigate further and found myself investigating a bit more, I guess.
Right. And before leaving the 6th floor, did you take any steps to satisfy yourself that a BA crew would come up and extinguish that fire, or fight that fire?
Other than the radio message that I said that there's a fire in a flat 2 floors above the fire floor.
Right. Now, when you arrived on the 7th floor, you say at the top of your statement, on page 14, the conditions were normal and clear. There was no smoke at all, and I can't remember seeing anyone on the stairs. Now, we've got a photograph, which is a still, taken from the 7th floor lobby camera, and it has a time on it, which is useful because we can fix you at a time. Could you please be shown the CCTV camera 5 at 01:21:57, the reference to which is INQ 50148. Now, this isn't a perfect means by which to ask you to identify yourself, Mr. O'Byrne, but we've got the timestamp there, subject to adjustment of 01:21:57, taken from the 7th floor lobby CCTV camera. Given the timing, can you help identify yourself in that picture?
My torch looks like that, and I'm not being sarcastic.
No, it's helpful.
Yeah, there are several different types of torches. That's quite a new one, which it looks like mine. Other than that, yeah, skin tone maybe. I don't know. I would suggest it probably is me.
Right.
But it's difficult to say, obviously, from that.
Okay. And looking at the conditions in the lobby, there, does that correspond with your recollection of the conditions in the lobby as you remember them?
This is floor 7,
Floor
isn't
7.
it? I thought, to be honest, I thought it was a little bit smokier than that when I went into the floor 7, to be honest.
Well, okay, but to be fair to you, one can't. I mean, it's not perhaps the most perfect picture, but you thought it was a bit smokier than this picture shows us. Is that?
Yeah,
is
it
that what
looks
you're
quite
saying?
clear to me there, and I'm sure it was a bit smokier than that.
Okay. Now, that has you arriving on the 7th floor at 01:21:57. Does that timing sound about right to you? Just to give you another time check, you'd arrived on at the incident at midnight and 59 minutes. This is 22 minutes later. Would that be about right?
Yeah, I mean, it may be. It's very hard to keep track of the time. It seems like I was quite off. I think I was about 20 minutes off with my first 40 minutes of timing through my police statement. So it would be difficult to say.
Right. You have decided to go to the 7th floor. Can I just ask you why you did decide to go up to the 7th floor?
Because the 3 flats that were alight underneath obviously had a feeling that maybe there's a problem above that.
Right. So would it be fair to say that you were chasing the fire upwards inside the building?
Well, it obviously looked like that after, yes.
How did it look to you at the time?
I just wanted to say that it had spread to the next floor up, so yeah, maybe that's a phrase you could use.
Did you tell Mike Dowden that you'd gone onto the 7th floor, or anybody else, indeed?
I radioed on the 7th floor to say that there was a fire 3 floors above the fire floor now, I believe it was.
You then explain in the first paragraph on page 14, you say in the middle of the paragraph, there was a little bit of smoke in the lobby at this time, but you could still see everything. And I could see their door. And the their door is a reference to a family who were coming out of their door, saying something along the lines of that it was on fire. Could you just explain which flat you're talking about there?
It was directly above the original fire floor, so whatever number it was, it would end on 6, is that? So
yes.
that'd be 36, would it?
That'd be 46.
Okay, 46, yeah. But I wouldn't have looked at any door numbers at the time or anything like that.
Right, so you were always going to look at the same flat on the same, in the same location on the lobby floor?
Excuse me. Yes, that was what I was doing at that time.
Right. And you say a little bit lower down in the paragraph, I didn't go to their door due to the smoke. Where was the smoke?
It was in their flat, if I remember rightly.
Right. And did they leave their door open or closed? Do you remember?
It was open when I think I approached the door, if I remember rightly, and they were just coming out as I was approaching the door.
Okay, so they were coming out, they went past you, you say you ushered them down the stairs.
Yeah.
Did you then keep the door open and look in, or did you go into their flat?
As I say, I couldn't remember whether I closed the door properly or whether I might have been left ajar slightly.
Okay. Did you close their door after they had gone and you had looked into their flat?
The last person to touch that door was me, yes.
And what sort of smoke was it? How thick was it? What colour was it that you saw inside their flat?
It's hard to remember now, but I think I would suggest that it was the same as the smoke on the other floors, which were dark.
And what thoughts did you have about the spread of fire to this floor, the 7th floor now?
Well, obviously I was concerned because I've only just, it seemed as though, run up the stairs.
In the next paragraph you say, after the family had gone down the first half flight of stairs and were almost down the next half flight, I said to them, "Is there anyone else in there?" Why did you wait until then to ask them that question?
I think I ushered them, I can't remember if I ushered them to the door, to the stairs. I then went back in to look in the flat, or whether I just remember them being down the half landing, second time, on the second half of the half landing.
Did you get an answer to your question?
I think I might have said it in my statement, but a lady stopped and started to come back towards me.
Yes, and you told her to keep going down.
Yes.
But did you get an answer to your question, is there anybody left in the flat?
I didn't get an answer to it, no. But she wasn't pulling at me or anything like that to say that there's someone in there.
Did you go back to their flat to check?
I didn't go in the flat to check if there was someone in there, no. But as I say, I may have gone back to the door of the flat, or I've gone back upstairs.
Did you alert anybody else on the seventh floor now about the presence of fire in a flat on that floor?
Yes, via the handheld radio.
Sorry, it's my fault. Did you alert anybody else on the seventh floor? Any other occupant of the seventh floor?
No.
Okay. Is there any reason why you didn't do that?
No, there wasn't any reason other than there was only one compartment on that floor that was alight.
So the question I've just asked you gets the same answer for all the other floors below?
Yes.
Right. What you did say a minute ago was that you alerted via the handheld radio, and you do say in your second paragraph on page 14 at the very end, so I believe that I then radioed down again to the governor, Watch Manager Dowden, to tell him that it was a light 3 floors above the fire floor.
Yeah.
And is that your clear recollection?
Yeah, there is no reason why I wouldn't have saw that flat alight and radioed down.
No, absolutely. And I can understand why you say that, but is that your clear recollection? Do you actually have standing here today, can you actually...
A year on, but when I wrote this statement, I'd say that yes, I said it, and in my notes I'm sure I would have said that.
Yes. And just to clear something up, if you go to your contemporaneous notes that we were looking at earlier, your handwritten notes, you say at the bottom of page 2, at the top of page 3 of those notes, and that's 5338, you say, after the reference to the family, I told her to keep going down the stairs. I am not too sure at what point I radioed, if you go over the page, the next page, to Watch Manager Dowden that the flat 2 floors above the fire floor was alit. Is that when you say 2 floors?
Above the fire floor, yeah.
Well, we're now on floor 7, so in fact that's 3 floors.
Okay, I have obviously in those notes mixed up the occupants of the 2 floors.
Well, actually,
In fact, you go on, Mr. Chairman, you're quite right, you've spotted it. It's my mistake. If you go on, so I went to floor 7 that way, smoke in the corridor a bit, and saw a Spanish-speaking group. They spoke broken English. They said their flat was on fire. I radioed to Watch Manager Dowden that the flat 3 floors above the fire floor was alight. So, does that confirm your recollection, standing here today, of your passing a message to Watch Manager Dowden?
Yes.
At least so far as you thought you had?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
And I just it's obviously, when I was saying I'm telling it's Watch Manager Dowden, it's obviously to, not necessarily directly straight to him, but for everyone else as well, yeah?
Yes, of course. And in addition to radioing down, did you try to pass a message on to make sure that BA Wearers with water came up to that flat as well to attack the fire in it?
No.
You didn't. You just limited it to telling Watch Manager Dowden that that flat was on fire?
Yes.
Okay. You then... And again, can I assume that you didn't receive a reply?
That's correct.
Or a confirmation of any kind?
No.
Now, just at this point, the fire has started in a flat on the 4th floor. It's progressed up 3 levels, from 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7, at some speed. What was your... did you have any thoughts about how this fire was behaving at this point?
No, not other than it's going up through each compartment very fast. No.
In your experience, had you ever seen a fire spread up from flat to flat to flat?
No.
Like that? Did you have any thoughts about what the strategy should be for alerting and evacuating occupants in flats above the fire?
No.
Do you know, it's hard to know why, but do you know why you didn't have any thoughts of that nature?
I was dealing with one situation at a time, I think.
That's very fair. Now you then decide to go up to the 8th floor, as you say in the next paragraph down, the 3rd paragraph on page 14. I then went straight up the stairs to the 8th floor. Again, same question as before, was that under instruction or was that off your own bat?
It was off my own back.
Could you describe the conditions that you found on the stairway on the way up?
It was clear on the way up on the stairs.
And in the 3rd paragraph there on that page, you say that the 8th floor lobby was heavily smoke-logged. You say, by this stage there was quite heavy smoke in the lift lobby of that floor, so I came straight out and went up to the next floor. You see that?
Yes.
Did you discover where the smoke in the 8th floor lobby was coming from?
No.
Did it occur to you to try to find out?
No.
Did you radio down to say, just got to the 8th floor, smoke filled here too?
I don't think I did, no.
Could you give us some idea of the kind of speed at which you were climbing up the building and looking in?
I don't know, it's probably, is it 5 seconds a floor maybe?
Right.
Well, sorry, only from the 8th to the 9th would have been 5 seconds. I was obviously taking time with the families in between.
Yeah. You say there was quite heavy smoke in the lift lobby of that floor, so I came straight out. When you say quite heavy smoke, was it smoke that could be breathed without breathing apparatus, or...?
From trying to recall it now, no, you wouldn't. Well, you wouldn't really want to be in that situation anyway. But from memory, I've opened that door. I wouldn't be able to see the lift doors.
You wouldn't be able to see the lift doors?
Yeah,
right. Okay.
which were 2 to 3 metres away.
Did you have any thoughts about whether to alert the occupants of the 8th floor to the fact that there was heavy smoke logging on their floor?
Even if it was in a BA, maybe, but I didn't want to introduce the smoke into the atmosphere.
Right. And did you make it? I think you've answered this before. Just to say that I'm clear, did you communicate with anybody
No.
at the bridgehead or on the fire ground outside that there was heavy smoke logging on the 8th? In the 8th
I
floor
believe I
lobby?
didn't. No.
Okay. You then say in the 2nd line in the 3rd paragraph on page 14, it began to dawn on me as I was going up and it was getting smokier that people were in danger from smoke inhalation. And I'll just read you the whole paragraph because I think first of all it should be read into the record, but secondly I've got a number of questions. You say, I think this began to start to sink in around the 8th floor as the lobby was so heavily smoke-logged. I didn't understand why the lift lobbies were getting smokier as I went up when the fire was down on the 4th floor, but I thought smoke might be coming up the lift shaft. I'm just pausing there. You knew that there were fires on the 5th, 6th and 7th floors because you'd seen flats on fire or been told about flats on fire. Did that not explain to you why there was so much smoke logging on the 8th floor?
As I said, it may have been through the lift shaft was something that crossed my mind.
You then go on to say, at that point I thought we are not going to get enough people down to the tower to rescue everyone. When you say to rescue everyone, do you mean mass evacuation of the whole block?
I think that statement when I wrote that may have been a little bit after floor 8, but not mass evacuation. I had at that time I was thinking that obviously there'd be smoke in the lift lobbies, and do we need to get crews to knock on people's doors and take them out?
I suppose what I'm really asking you, Mr. Abell, is when you say at that point I thought we're not going to get enough people down to the tower to rescue everyone, was that a thought you had at that moment?
I think I had just a bit of a sinking feeling on, which I now know was between floors 11 and 12. That was probably the point when I realised that there were going to be people that are dying in there.
Right. We'll come to that. But can I just be clear that at this point, 8th floor, your thoughts had turned at that time?
I don't think that my thoughts had turned at that time to mass evacuation, no.
Right, okay, thank you. And just, again, so I'm clear, when do you remember your thoughts did turn first to the need for mass evacuation?
My understanding of, I didn't think it was going to be mass evacuation. I thought that we need to get BA crews to each individual flat and escort people out, is what I thought.
And that thought was at what stage? What floors had you reached when you had that thought?
Only from reading the notes after and the floors that I realised I got to, it was between floors 11 and 12.
Okay. We'll come to that as we go up the building. I think we next go to the 9th floor, and this is page 15, first paragraph. You say, I then went up to the 9th floor. I think I reached this floor within 2 minutes of finding the smoke in the flat on the 5th floor. Is that right, do you think?
It's best guess time, but I don't know.
That would, if it is right, it would mean that you had covered 3 further floors, 6, 7 and 8, in 2 minutes. Is that possible? 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to dismantle it now. How long did I spend with the 2 families? And the rest of it was quite quick. So yeah, it wouldn't be far off. Maybe no more than 4 minutes, I should think, anyway. And again, same question as before. Your decision to go up to the 9th floor, was that under instruction or off your own back?
No, it wasn't under instruction, off my own back.
So you are very much the free agent rising up through the tower and finding out what the conditions are. Is that a fair description of your role at this point?
I'd prefer if you described it a little bit different, but that was what I was doing at the time.
How would you describe it?
I was trying to gather information.
Right, okay. And what were the conditions in the stairs on your way up from level 8 to level 9 like?
It was clear.
The stairs were clear. Did you encounter any occupants on the stairs?
I may have, but I don't remember.
Now, when you come to the second line of page 15, you say, when I opened the door from the stairwell to the 9th floor and went into the lobby, I had a look around and there was absolutely no smoke at all on that floor. I don't remember seeing any floor numbers in the stairwells, but I could tell this was the 9th floor as it was brightly lit and I could see a big 9 on the wall between the lifts. Just in terms of numbering, you could tell it was the 9th floor because of the 9 between the lifts. So that's in the lift lobby. Was there a numbering or number 9 in the stairwell?
I don't remember seeing any numbers in the stairwell.
At all?
No, not at all. I don't. Yeah, from memory, I don't remember seeing them.
So how were you counting the floors as you went up?
2, 3, 4, fires above the fire floor. That's
Right,
how I was counting
okay.
them up.
So you're counting them in your head rather than checking them off the
Well,
wall.
I counted the 3 floors. I knew what floor was alight because he broke the door in. I checked 5, so I counted, as you say, yeah. But I was just radioing down saying 2, 3 and 4 floors above the fire floor.
Okay. You say, as you do, that there was absolutely no smoke in the lift lobby on level 9. Did you look to see whether there was any smoke or fire in flat 66? In other words, the flat on level 9 immediately above all the flats that you'd seen below which were alight?
I didn't approach the door, no.
Didn't. Is there a reason why you didn't do that?
Because I left and went up to the next floor. But other than that, no, there isn't a reason why I didn't check that floor.
I know you left and went to the next floor, but what prompted you not to look in the corresponding flat on that floor when all the others below it had been alight?
At the time, I was under the impression that the smoke may have been coming from the lift shaft of the other floors onto floor 8, should I say, and it hadn't, the fire hadn't reached floor 9.
Is there, going back to that lift shaft subject, is there a reason why the smoke would be coming through the lift shaft when you'd seen fires in flats 16, 26, 36, 46,
I didn't
56?
I didn't know that there was a there was a fire on floor 8. I presumed that all the doors were closed. And that, my assumption at that time was that the smoke had come up the lift shaft on floor 8.
Okay. And do you know why you made that assumption? What
I have
prompted
no
that
idea. That was the first thing that come to my mind.
Okay. Do you remember whether you radioed down to Mike Dowden as to what you found on the 9th floor in the lobby there?
No, I didn't.
You say you didn't? You mean you know
I didn't radio down.
You didn't? You
No.
sure? You can
I'm
remember
quite sure
not
I
to?
didn't radio down that the 9th floor was clear.
And then you then went up to the 10th floor, and you say that in the second paragraph on page 15. I believe I then went on to the 10th floor lobby, but I came straight out again as it was heavily smoke-logged there. Could you describe the smoke that you saw in the lobby on the 10th floor?
It's obviously difficult to remember that, but all I remember is each door I opened, the smoke was very heavy. So that would have been including floors 10 and 11.
Did you look to see where the smoke might have been coming from?
No, it was, from memory, when I opened the door, it was thick smoke. So I closed it again straight away, so there would be no way of telling where and what direction the smoke was coming from.
Right. Did you think about knocking on any doors on that level, floor 10?
No.
And again, why is that?
I wouldn't have been able to breathe if I went through that door.
Couldn't get through. And did you have any thoughts about why level 8 was smoke-logged, level 10 was heavily smoke-logged, as you've just described, but level 9 was clear?
After checking floor 11, and if you want to go on to floor 11 now?
No, we're still on 10.
Yeah. But the reasoning was, it was strange, obviously, that there was a gap.
Right. Did you have any thoughts about why there was a gap?
I did when I went after I opened the door to floor 11.
Right. Okay. And you do go there. Before you go there, can I just ask you, did you radio down to Mike Dowden about the conditions in the lobby on floor 10?
I didn't radio down about the conditions.
And then in your statement you say, after I came out of the 10th floor, I think I went up the stairs. I'm sorry, this is second paragraph, second line. I think I went up the stairs to the half landing above the 10th floor, but I'm not sure. I may have stopped in the 11th and 12th floors. I stopped to have a think about what to do. I then realised that something wasn't quite right there, and it wasn't a normal fire. What was it at level 11, or the half landing below level 11, that made you stop?
Because floor 9 was clear, so obviously smoke wasn't coming up through the lift lobby or the lift shaft.
Yeah. And you then say, in the 4 lines down, I realised then that something wasn't quite right and it wasn't a normal fire. I thought that there would be people who were going to die because of the amount of smoke in the lobbies of the different floors, presumably due to more flats being alight. I thought that we wouldn't be able to get enough fire engines and firefighters up those stairs to get everyone out. I've been doing my job for quite a while, nearly 20 years, and normally I feel I have an answer for anything, for any problem. But this didn't seem normal, and I didn't know what to do. That must have come as quite a moment to you.
Yes.
Did you think to share that moment with anybody?
At that time, no.
Is there a reason why you didn't?
Whilst I was trying to process the information, is when I heard the shout.
And what is it now that you'd seen in total when you stop at this moment between the 11th and the 12th floors that led you to think now that after 20 years this is something you'd never seen before and that people were going to die because of the amount of smoke in the lobbies?
As I say, now I believe, after there was 2 more floors above floor 9 that had smoke in it, I thought that the floor 10 and 11 were on fire.
Right. And what did that mean to you so far as compartmentation at Grenfell was concerned?
It means that there was probably about 6 or 7 or 8 flats alight now.
Yeah.
So if you're asking, do I think that it failed at that time, that didn't cross my mind whether it had failed at that time. But I just realised that there was a lot of flats alight.
Right. Did you have any thoughts at that moment about whether a standing policy of advice to residents to stay put remained safe advice to give?
Sorry, can you just say that
Yeah.
again?
Did you have any thoughts at that time, at that moment, about whether any standing advice to residents to stay put would continue to be safe advice to give?
To be honest, that wouldn't have crossed my mind at the time. At that time, I was just thinking about how are we going to get BA crews into these smoky lift lobbies to get the residents out of their flats that are not involved in the fire.
Yeah. And I've just got, Mr. Chairman, just a couple more questions and we can finish off this line at 4 o'clock if that's convenient. So just doing your best with the timing, where do you think you were when you had this stop on the 11th, between the 11th and the 12th floors and had these thoughts?
I went up the stairs very quickly, so I'm not too sure. Have you got a timestamp on floor 7?
Yes, it's about 121.
Okay, so I probably ascended the building less than 2 minutes to get there, I'm sure, maybe even a minute.
Right. Now, in your last paragraph on page 15, you say, I believe it was around this time when I was somewhere between the 7th and 10th floors that I heard Watch Manager Dowden saying on the radio, make pumps 8, to request 8 fire engines to attend the incident. Now, we have that time as at about 1:19. In fact, it's in the log of 01:19:08. But that was where you were between the 7th and the 10th floors. This is now to the 10th and 11th floors. Had you heard any further make-ups since hearing pumps 8?
No, I didn't hear any other make-ups.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I think I've come to a natural end at this stage. I have got a few more questions to ask, probably another 45 minutes to an hour with this witness tomorrow morning, if that's not inconvenient to you and to the witness.
Mr. Abell, I'm sorry, because I'm sure you were hoping to finish this afternoon, weren't you?
One of that, yeah.
But
So that's fine.
I hope it's not
problem, sir.
going to cause you too much difficulty to come back tomorrow.
No, it won't.
And you've heard what Mr. Millett said, 45 minutes or an hour We'll try and keep him to that.
I look forward to that.
All right, well then, you better leave us now. Now, can I just mention one thing? I should have said this to you earlier. Now you've started giving your evidence, can you please not discuss your evidence or anything to do with it overnight?
Yes, okay, no problem.
Thank you very much. Well, you go with the usher, and we'll start again at 10 o'clock in the morning. Right. Thank you very much indeed. Is 10 all right? Thank you all very much. 10 o'clock tomorrow, please. Thank you.